Good evening and thank you for joining us for the Eyewitness News. I'm Sharice Gibson. The nationwide conversation about racial injustice makes its way back to downtown New Orleans. Advocacy groups are in Lafayette Square where they are demanding the removal of monuments they say honor white supremacists. That's where we join Duke Carter right now. Duke.
Hey, good evening, Sharice. As you just mentioned, that group Take Em Down Nola members are wanting a number of different things to happen immediately. They're here at Lafayette Square because they want to see changes in the community. And as you can see, there are about dozens of so people out here, again, wanting to see changes. Now, the plan is that they're going to be marching from here to Lafayette Square and hit up different monuments across the city like Henry Clay, John McDonough, and eventually they're going to wind up at Andrew Jackson Monument in Jackson Square. The goal, again, is to remove those monuments because they want to see it changed here in the community. But there's some other demands, and take a look at your screen, ladies and gentlemen, about the other demands. So one, the first demand is release an immediate timeline when the city plans to remove all symbols of white supremacy. The second demand is that the city needs to follow a community-driven process for any replacement monuments. The third demand is that they want an act to Take Em Down Nola's ordinance now, which demands only Confederate symbolism be removed. And then the fourth demand is to defund police and flip that money to go toward people, children, families, living wage, job development. And so we spoke with members with Take Em Down Nola about removing the monuments here in the city that's related to white supremacy. Here's what they have to say about that. Take a listen.
These are insults to anybody with any democratic sentiments. And we recognize that these are symbols of white supremacy. As long as these things stand, it will be a certification that whites are still in control in the city.
So again, you're taking a live look at group members as well as the community coming together to support Take Em Down Nola, which the game plan, as you just heard from this organizer, is to remove monuments that showcase white supremacy here in the city of New Orleans. Now, the New Orleans City Council, they kicked off the process of renaming streets that honor Confederates and white supremacists by voting to create a commission that will study the issue over the next 6 months. Now, while that commission is not yet in charge with looking at the statues, but a key element of the work will be determining which streets or other public places should be renamed. So this rally march should start momentarily. We'll have more tonight at 10. For now, reporting live, Duke Carter, Eyewitness News.